Hello, good evening. Wow, this is very exciting. I have been looking forward to this moment for a very, very long time. So, at first, do you guys mind if I just take a picture because I want to post it on my social media? Oh no, I look really fat in that. Just one more time, okay? Maybe I'll put the camera a little up. That always makes me look thinner. Have you noticed that too? It works, right? This angle. Oh, wrong profile. Wait, maybe I'll suck my cheeks in and pout my lips. If it works for Bebo, it should work for me, no? You might think this is slightly unconventional to do at the beginning of a TEDx talk, but actually it isn't. This is all of us in today's day and time. Something amazing is happening, something beautiful is happening. Our first response is, hey, let me take a picture so that I can post this on my social media. The latest statistics say that 90.4% of millennials use social media and spend an average of 3 hours or more on social media and messaging. 3 hours? That's more time than I spend on eating. That's more time than I spend talking to my mom in the entire week, and she's one of my best friends. So we can all agree that social media is a huge, huge part of our lives, which is why I'm here to talk a little bit about what we should be using it for and how we should be thinking about it in the context of our lives. But before that, let's come back to photos and insecurities. So can I have a raise of hands for anyone who's ever taken a picture of themselves and then thought, it's not good enough to put up on social media? That's almost everyone in this room. You know, I really feel that self-doubt and social media are like best friends. We are all so used to seeing perfectly curated lives, perfectly curated feeds, that we forget that no one's life is perfect, even if their Instagram may say so. So I was sitting with my 7-year-old son, my older child, while I was, posting a picture on social media. And this was one of the paid partnerships with a beauty brand. So it was all very processed, the photo. And he said to me, Mama, what is this? So I said, this is kind of like an ad like that I'm posting. So very innocently, he just looked at me like, Mama, how come you look more beautiful in your ads than you look in real life? Sometimes children, in their innocence, ask the most relevant questions, right? So I thought to myself, yeah, he's got a point. Who was I? This perfectly poised, perfectly pretty, perfectly processed photo that I was going to post on Instagram, or this slightly disheveled mom with like oily, unshampooed hair tied up in a bun, wearing my track pants, ready to take him for soccer class with a pimple on my right cheek? I guess I was both, right? So I explained to him that not everything we see on social media is real. And even if it's real, it's not the full picture, right? It's a very small part of projected reality that we see on social media. And it's not necessarily something that we need to all take very seriously or believe too much. We need to, just like the movies or just like television shows or just like paintings, it's something that we need to take with a pinch of salt and realize that it's a subjective perception. It's not the full picture. Anyway, speaking of reality, I've done a lot of reality television, right? Comedy Nights with Kapil, Comedy Circus. There's one reality show that I will never be able to forget. Desi Girl. So this was a show in which actresses from Mumbai were taken to a village to live in a village for 8 weeks. And we had to do everything from milking the cows to everything else that villagers do and really live like them. So, the first week of the show was very, very particularly hard on me. We had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning before we'd start shooting. And even before we'd start shooting meant living the village life. We would have 1.5 hours of hair and makeup. I guess it was part of the design of the show where you had very glamorous actresses doing very unglamorous things. Like imagine perfectly painted, freshly manicured hands making freshly delivered gobar ki pathiyan. Great TV, right? But it was a personal disaster. So anyway, the first week I was just really unhappy there. I was uncomfortable. I missed my home. It was a reality show, so everything was very political. I didn't know the difference between who was being real, who was being fake. I was done. I wanted to get eliminated, and I just wanted to leave. I wanted to go home. But I'm not a quitter. So in the second week, as we went on, I kind of started to forget that there are cameras around all the time, and I started to actually talk to the people that I was living in the village with. And some of us became friends. I realized that I had a lot to learn from them, and they also could learn a few things from me. And I went from literally really not liking it to slowly falling in love with the village, the open air, their beautiful, wide-eyed, innocent smiles, and the food, sarson ka saag, makke ki roti, everything was suddenly amazing. Anyway, after the filming of this show and after 8 weeks, I ended up winning this show. But what I feel really contributed to me making it to the finals and reaching that far, and what was the biggest strength, was the real human connections that I, the girl under the layers of makeup, was able to make with the people of the village. Human connection. Now, the reason I'm telling you about this reality show experience is because I feel that 10 years later today, we are living in the biggest reality show of our time, social media, where real human connection is being substituted by virtual reality, where you don't really need to talk to someone, you don't really need to interact with them, you can just be a passive user who's sitting there and watching what's going on in someone's life and judging it from your own corner. But what we don't realize is that corner can get to be very isolated, very lonely. And in that corner, we can start to feel pretty alienated and pretty depressed, and it can lead us to social media anxiety. We have all, at some point, felt some form of social media anxiety, whether it is majorly comparative behavior. Why does she have more followers than me? Why does he get more likes than me? Or be it FOMO and jealousy. Yeah, that party looks so good. Why was I not invited? Or dude, her holiday pictures are so bomb. Why am I sitting here studying for my exams when she's on holiday? Or depression. I'm not good enough. My life is not good enough. You know, I really feel that social media is so much a part of our lives right now. So I'm not going to suggest to you that we should all get out of it and stop using it because, hey, let's be real, I can't live without my phone for a day. So I'm not prescribing that to you. But I am here to talk about how can we turn it around, make it better, and stop ourselves from falling prey and getting into that corner of social media anxiety. So, honest confession, 2 years ago, I went through a bout of depression that I think was caused by social media anxiety. I didn't know it at the time, but yeah, I mean, I had had 2 children back to back, and after reading books only on breastfeeding and childbirth and natural birth and hypnobirth, I was finally coming out of my cave, and I, wanted to connect with the rest of the world, and I found social media a really easy way of doing that, of connecting. And I started using, especially Instagram a lot. But I was just using it passively. I wasn't posting anything. I was just looking at other people's lives. And I was constantly, I guess, comparing my life, which was primarily occupied with diapers and other things like that at this point, to other people's lives who seemed to be posting the best highlights of what they were doing. And I definitely felt all those pangs and all those signs of social media anxiety. And I was in a pretty low, pretty depressed, and pretty toxic space. But just like in the first week of Desi Girl, I did want to get out, but I'm just not a quitter. So I thought to myself, okay, listen, let's turn this around. Let's really dig deep. Let's look at it. And if I have to use it, let me use it for something that's going to benefit me, that's going to be a positive thing in my life. And how do I make this platform work for myself? So I started thinking about my life, and I realized that as an actor, till now, I had always felt slightly dissatisfied. That, I was living the role that some writer had written. That was not the real me. That was not my perspective. I was acting as a role, or I was being a presenter, and I was being told what to do. I'd never had the opportunity to just express myself and speak from my heart and dig deep and be the person that I wanted to be publicly. So I thought, hey, this is it. Why don't I use social media for this and, turn it around and talk about the things that I love, be it fashion, be it beauty, be it travel, be it food, all the things that excited me. So I decided I'm going to turn my platform into a space for all these things, dedicated to them, and that it would be a very positive space. And I started curating my feed. Of course, with newfound clarity and newfound direction came newfound criticism as well. And let me tell you, the first people to criticize you are the people closest to you, your friends and family. You try and do something new and they will be the first people to say, yeah, you're not sounding like yourself. What's going on with you? So, yeah, it's true. So I had to, at that point, really kind of take this self-doubt that, often creeps up on all of us and throw it out of the window and replace it with self-love and self-belief. I was like, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it. I'm being honest to myself and I'm just going to make it work. So a year later, I was able to build a very positive space that was working for me. I was generating great business for my clothing line via Instagram. I was creating digital content for top brands that I had only dreamt of working with. And I was traveling the world and living in these amazing hotels, reviewing them. It was a really fantastic, exciting time and a role this time that I had crafted for myself. I was very happy with it. And as we speak, I feel that change is the only constant and we continue to grow. And I'm growing now because I feel that now I want to use my platform to talk about stuff that is just not pretty pictures, but more important than pretty pictures, to talk about issues that I feel passionately about and to use my community and use the people on my social media to bring about awareness and conscious communication. So that's been my journey with my sort of social media experiments. But the reason that I'm sharing all of this with you is just to tell you that, we've all felt at some point that we're going under the wave of social media and just inundated by other people's pictures and other people's stories. I feel that if we can turn it around, and we should all turn it around for ourselves, whether we want to be public figures on it or not, and go over that wave, we can make a much more beautiful and a much more positive experience for ourselves. So before I finish, I'm going to give you my 5 rules for self-love on social media. These are tried and tested, and I'm going to encourage you to try them for yourself as well. So rule number 1, you first. When you wake up in the morning, as easy as it is to reach for your phone and look at it and start scrolling, don't do that. Because you're at your vulnerable best in the morning. And what you see, you have no control over. There's, I was reading a paper, an article by MIT, and this journal was talking about how to use social media and what are the rules of looking at social media in a positive way. And there's amazing research by neuroscientists talking about the fact that if you look at something negative in the morning, chances are that your subconscious will have a negative reaction and it may repeat itself through the day. So you might go into that loop. So why do that to yourselves? Spend the first hour of your morning for yourself, you first. My second rule is Maricon your feed. So Marie Kondo taken over the world. Everyone has been revolutionized by her thinking of cleaning up your cupboard, cleaning up your kitchen, clean up your house, and only keep what sparks joy. Let's do that with our social media. People make you feel jealous. Unfollow, mute, weed them out of your social media territory so you don't have to deal with them. We all have that friend who wants to post 150 pictures of her baby's first meal with food splattered all over their face, or like someone who wants to post like 50 pictures about, from every angle of this holiday that they're taking. We don't need to hear that. We don't need to clutter our minds. So when you can't unfollow them because you're obligated to follow them, just mute them. I've done it to a lot of people on my feed. Okay, so that was my point number 2. Point number 3, Mediapedia. In today's day and age, literally we have people putting out information, people who are so good at what they do and sharing their information for free. So let's use that, whatever you're into, whether it's food, whether it's motorcycles, whether it's yoga. Find people who inspire you, who fuel your hobby, and fill your vortex with that kind of information that really inspires you to be better, to learn more. Rule number 4, no guts, no glory. Have the guts to be honest and to say what you really feel. We've all done this at some point, right? Fake liked something. We're like, very nice, looking really good. When we don't think so, don't do that. If we don't want to take people's lies, we shouldn't be lying ourselves. So it's really important to put out what you expect to get back inside. And rule number 5 is something I tell my children all the time. 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more, listen well, process it, and then speak from your heart. So when you put something out, whatever it may be, it'll be something you like. So it won't matter whether other people like it or not. So these are my 5 rules of self-love. I've tried them, I've tested them, they work for me, and I encourage you to look at your own social media habits and to try and see if you can incorporate these. And hopefully for you, your social media echo chamber will be a happier place if you are able to practice self-love on social media. Thank you.